Are you ready for the move? My husband, approaching me with a look that seemed to say I was no longer needed. After treating me like an ATM, now he's trying to kick me out of the house. Why do I always have to suffer like this? Swearing revenge, I readily agreed to leave the house. But there was a strategy behind this, aimed at getting back at him. My name is Carolyn, and I'm 46 years old. I work as a municipal employee at the City Hall. After graduating from a community college, I dedicated myself to my job, and before I knew it, I had reached 25 years of service. I married my husband, Michael, when I was 25. It was a shotgun wedding, and we had a boy the following year. Our son has now become a college student. He moved out to attend a university in another state, living on his own. To be honest, our marriage hasn't been very good. Since our son left, we hardly talk, and our relationship has grown even colder. Especially since my husband's domineering attitude has gotten worse, reminiscent of our early marriage days. It seemed like he had restrained himself after our son was born, but his true nature began to resurface. It's become routine to be criticized for the dinners I painstakingly prepare, with comments like "this is bland" or "make it again." No matter how carefully I do the laundry or cleaning, I constantly hear, "Can't you even do household chores properly with an associate degree?" Or, "Why did I even marry such a foolish woman?" My husband graduated from a prestigious private university and works in sales at a major food trading company. He probably thinks that me, with my associate degree and government job, am not good enough for him. He often makes belittling remarks. I've voiced my concerns a few times about sharing household chores, saying, "Since we both work, can't we divide the housework?" But he insists it's natural for the wife to do the housework. "You get off work on time since it's a government job, and our son is grown up. So you should manage on your own." I countered, "Our son being grown up applies to you too." But that seemed to annoy him even more, leading him to say, "If you can't handle both, quit your job." He says to quit easily, but I have reasons why I can't. Our living expenses, mortgage, and our son's tuition fees are mostly covered by my salary. I've tried discussing this several times. "Could you at least help with the mortgage or part of the tuition fees?" However, he responded, "How I spend the money I earn is my business," and only contributed the bare minimum. We've had separate bank accounts since we got married, so I had no choice but to accept this arrangement. You'd think one might get used to such a marriage over 20 years, but recently something has been bothering me. My husband started asking me for money frequently, using various excuses. "There's a family gathering at my parents' home." So what? "I need to give some pocket money to my nieces and nephews, so can you chip in about $100? That was the beginning. While it's undeniable that family ties are important, it was suspicious that he wouldn't contribute himself. However, refusing would undoubtedly lead to being labeled a cold-hearted woman, so I complied. But from that day on, my dad got injured and has to be hospitalized. That's terrible. We should visit right away. No need for a visit, but can you afford $400 for a consolation gift? Or some distant relative apparently got married. A distant relative? From your father's side or your mother's side? Don't pry. I need about $300 for a congratulatory gift, so get it ready." Before I knew it, in addition to regular expenses, I was drained of tens of thousands by my husband. My distrust of my husband grew. Even though he continued to ask for money, I started to dodge and evade his requests. As a result, his mood worsened rapidly, and he began taking it out on me again. "Don't you even want to do something for your in-laws?" Every time he saw me, my husband would complain. "Why do I have to put up with so much?" Sometimes, I felt like I was about to cry. Around the same time, I was also concerned about my husband coming home late. There were days when he would come home reeking of deodorant spray, and I even found women's earrings in his shirt pocket. The word affair was flashing in my mind. "Coming home late, are you busy with work?" "I have various obligations like entertaining clients, unlike your cushy government job." His dismissal of my job, which I take pride in, saddened me. "You just stare at a computer all day, right? Can't even tell if that's considered work," he would say, laughing mockingly. Don't mock me. There were times when I raised my voice in response. We started having more of these arguments. Why did he need to say such things? Especially when I'm the one covering our monthly expenses. I miss the early days of our relationship. He used to be so kind. I can't even remember what drew me to him and why I married him. Then one day, my bad feeling proved to be right. On a rare occasion when my husband came home early. You're home earlier than usual today. There's something I need to talk about. A talk? I asked, puzzled. Out of the blue, he said, get out of this house. Having suspected his infidelity, I asked, do you want to be with your lover? His response, you catch on fast, confirmed my suspicions. Women's intuition is truly frightening. According to him, his lover was the hostess of a snack bar they often used for business entertainment, a woman who, unlike me, was charming, good-natured, and beautiful. She really understands me. Apparently, she has a child from a previous marriage, so we'll live here together, he said. Sharing details I didn't want to hear. I told my husband, give me one night to think about it, and locked myself in my room. From behind me, his cold words hit, leave as soon as you can. After being treated like an ATM and now being kicked out of the house. The money I was drained of must have been funneled to his mistress. His late returns under the guise of business entertainment might have been lies, meeting his lover instead. Why must I always be the one to suffer like this? Fed up with my husband's unreasonable laziness, I decided to enact a plan. The next morning. Are you done packing for the move? To his sarcastic question, I coolly replied, I'll be out today. My refreshing demeanor surprised him, but he was pleased, saying, finally, I can escape this dreary life. It's better to have a beautiful woman in a home that's just for sleeping, even if it's plain. You lack flair. I'll take all my belongings with me. That's necessary. Otherwise, we can't start our new life. He said with a smug face. By we, he meant his mistress and himself. I told him as a condition for leaving the house, I want a divorce. I didn't want to end as a pitiful wife who easily acknowledged infidelity and just left. I'll divorce this man myself. I pulled out the divorce papers I had prepared for such an occasion. Imagining a future with his mistress, my husband, without hesitation, filled in the divorce papers, saying, consider it done. That afternoon, I packed my belongings and left the house. I feel liberated. My husband declared loudly enough to be heard at the entrance. His good mood and smirking were only for the moment. I submitted the divorce papers to the court, explained the situation to my colleagues, and took a few days off. Since this was all so sudden, I hadn't signed a lease for a new place yet. For the time being, I decided to stay in my son, Alex's place. My face must have looked refreshingly relieved after a long time. As my son greeted me with a relieved smile. It's finally over, isn't it? The real challenge starts now. I'm on your side, Mom. Thank you. The curtain rose on my revenge. A week later, a familiar number called. No doubt about it. It was my husband. Or rather, my ex-husband now. I initially ignored the calls, but they were so persistent that I had no choice but to answer. After taking a moment, I answered the phone only to hear my ex-husband, livid, ranting, hey. What do you think you're doing? Today was the end of the month. The day when various payments were due. What are you talking about? This month's payments. What do you mean? We're divorced, aren't we? Why would I have any obligation to pay? What? Indeed, there's no surprise in my ex-husband's outburst. This month, neither living expenses nor the mortgage had been paid from my salary. And the amount would be shocking. Our apartment was in an upscale residential area. Just the mortgage could cost thousands of dollars. How am I supposed to handle this amount? Your salary was. His voice trailed off in astonishment. I decided to explain everything from scratch. We were like separated within the house, so I didn't feel the need to explain. But I was promoted to a department head after being recognized for my achievements. Department head, not section chief. Since when? I think it was the year Alex entered high school. My salary is probably more than double yours. What? My ex-husband couldn't hide his shock at each revelation. I kept this a secret too, but I've been investing for educational funds since Alex was born. The assets are now worth hundreds of thousands. Having separate bank accounts from the beginning really helped. It saved me from you knowing about the money movements. Can't be. I continued calmly. I had thought about divorcing earlier, but I figured there was no point for him in giving up a convenient ATM. So I led my ex-husband to agree to the divorce willingly. I had played the part of a dutiful, obedient wife on purpose, giving him money to lead him on. I had told my son about the planned divorce well in advance and encouraged him to attend a university far away from home. All of this was part of the plan. After I explained everything, my ex-husband fell silent, unable to say anything. How does it feel to be countered by a wife you look down upon for being a community college graduate and working an easy government job? He probably never expected me to have such clarity. He seemed unable to retort. It's strange that he never questioned how we managed to live a middle-class lifestyle or better. Naturally, we are divorced now, so I have no obligation to make any payments, including for this month and henceforth. If you want, that apartment is in your name, isn't it? Shouldn't you be the one to pay the mortgage? Where are you now? Huh? I'm coming to pick you up, so tell me where you are, my ex-husband managed to say after a struggle. I even asked your office, but they said you're on a few days off and didn't know where you are. How am I supposed to live now? He muttered under his breath. And for a good reason, as I had arranged with my workplace and son to disappear from my ex-husband's radar. Of course, I had also informed my parents and relatives. It seems my ex-husband was now at a dead end. You could just earn your own living. Though, with your debts, you won't be able to live as lavishly as before, I said coldly. And I could hear him gasp. How did you know? A private investigator can find out easily. Apparently, my ex-husband had been squandering most of his salary on gambling. He was in debt, and I had been covering the repayments with the living expenses I paid every month. You're foolish to even lavish gifts on your mistress. I'll return the words you once said to me. How could I have married such a fool? My relentless counterattack left my ex-husband speechless again. After a long silence, I was wrong, can't you come back? He suddenly asked in a soft voice. I was wrong about everything. I want to apologize, so please give me your address. I want to apologize in person, he lied. Trying to smooth things over. Since he still hadn't learned his lesson, I decided to reveal 2 more truths to my ex-husband. By the way, have you checked the mailbox? What's this all of a sudden? You haven't seen it yet, have you? There should be a bill for alimony. My ex-husband might not realize, but I never mentioned anything about an amicable divorce. Naturally, I have the right to demand alimony from him. There's one more thing. Is there still something else? Haven't you received a notice from his university? What notice? About the tuition fee withdrawal. What? Yes, I had asked my son to change the account for tuition fee withdrawals to my husband's name. The tuition fee for the upcoming semester will be withdrawn soon. Wait a minute. Let's talk this over calmly. I am perfectly calm. At least he didn't end up attending the same prestigious private university as my ex-husband, which is a relief in itself. My bright son worked hard and, despite my ex-husband's objections, managed to enroll in a more affordable national university in the countryside. Still, the tuition fee for just the first semester runs into thousands of dollars. The deadline for the alimony is also approaching, so please make the transfer soon. Please, have mercy. Why don't you stop this disgraceful behavior? I'm done associating with you. With that, I hung up the phone. Later, through the grapevine, I heard that my ex-husband, having lost my support, was forced to sell the apartment we lived in. He's now living in a dilapidated share house in a building that's 50 years old. Desperate without the financial support, my ex-husband frantically tried to reach out to me multiple times, hoping to rekindle our relationship. I don't know what kind of person his mistress was, but the fact that he didn't rely on her probably speaks volumes about her character. I also learned later that, to add insult to injury, my ex-husband was eventually abandoned by his mistress and left all alone. I had the detective agency investigate her as well. And surprisingly, it turned out she didn't have any children, contrary to what my ex-husband believed. He was the only one who was serious about the relationship. He was thoroughly played for a fool. After treating me like an ATM and then kicking me out of the house, I hope he reflects on his actions. Burdened with debt he accumulated himself and the alimony owed to me, he turned to his parents for help. But they couldn't forgive the terrible way he treated his wife and turned him away. Disowned by his parents, my ex-husband now has no one to turn to and is lost. As for me, I'm finally free from the hassle and leading a comfortable life. With the assets from my investments and the alimony from my ex-husband, I purchased a new apartment. On weekends, Alex comes over, and we enjoy some tea and study together. To my surprise, he aspires to be a public servant like me. It fills me with joy to see him studying hard for the National Civil Service exam, taking my advice to heart. I've returned to work and expressed my gratitude to my superiors and colleagues by distributing thank you sweets for their support. This ordeal has reaffirmed my belief that diligence and perseverance are always rewarded in the end. I plan to live by this principle moving forward.